Chester Moore, executive editor of Texas Fishing Game Magazine, with a man that really knows no introduction, four-time Bassmaster Classic champion, all-time bass legend Rick Clunn. And you got some rods that not only look unique, they're maybe a little bit different from the crankbait rods other anglers are fishing.
Well, basically what we have is we've introduced an old rod, reintroduced an old rod, which is kind of not really what the industry is used to. The industry is used to what's new, what's new, what's new. In this case, it's new, but it's really dates back to the mid-70s, late 70s, when really the long handle 7-foot rods weren't available in bass fishing. And being a crankbait fisherman, which requires distance sometimes, a friend of mine, Gary Klein from California, wanted me to teach him how to crankbait fish. I'm thinking this was like 1978.
Oh, wow.
And so we went out, and Gary was a flipper. He had custom 7-foot flipping sticks made out of glass. Well, back then, all we had was the Lou Childress 6-foot pistol bit. You cast like a picture of throwing motion. And I took Gary out that day, and we started fishing. About halfway through the day, he reached down and grabbed one of his flip sticks, tied us on the crankbait. And immediately I see this motion here instead of this motion. I had terrible shoulders from high school football, and then most days my shoulders were killing me, and immediately I saw the benefits of this from that standpoint.
Okay.
And plus, he could outcast me 10 yards with that long rod. And so immediately when I got home, like I said, nobody made a long handle rod. I lived in Houston area. I went down to Cutaway Sporting Goods to sell both freshwater, saltwater tackle.
Still there today?
And I went through the saltwater rods looking, and I had one of Gary's glass custom rods, and I found this saltwater rod, 7-foot glass rod. It was a speckled trout popping rod. And I bought, and that's what became my, and to this day, the best rod I ever used for crankbait fishing.
Oh, wow.
And as time went by, the high-tech materials came out, and the glass started to disappear. Even now we have bass fishermen, bass companies building 7-foot rods, but they started making them out of graphite, and we all were ignorant of the science of glass versus graphite at that point in time. So we started using the graphite, but I noticed my amount of fish I was losing went up proportionally.
Okay. As the technology progressed, you're losing fish.
I'm losing more fish. And of course at first you don't know, you know how it is, your brain's trying to figure out all the reasons why I'm losing fish. And then all of a sudden, during this similar time, about the same time frame, when I qualified for the very first classic I won in 1976 in Cuttersville, Alabama, I was broke. I didn't even have the money to get to the classic. I tried to borrow the money from Dad. Once we got to New Orleans, they'd take care of it. But I didn't have the money to get to New Orleans. I had to hop a Browning gear rifle. Wow. And to get there. And but Skyline Graphite had sent us all the classic containers brand new rods. And I, like an idiot, because all my rods were beat up, tips had been replaced, and at least I said, well, I'm going to look like I know what I'm doing, so I left all my old glass rods home. And went to the classic. The first day I was in third place, 10 fish limit, but I only had 7 fish. I lost 6 fish that day. I didn't lose 6 fish in a whole year, and I lost 6 fish, and my brain's going crazy. The next day I take the lead, and I lost 7 fish that day. But still, I'm upset because why am I losing so many fish? I've lost more fish in 2 days than I've lost in 2 years. Wow. I hadn't put together the graphite versus glass yet. The final day, finally it clicked a little bit, because I pulled up there, I have a chance to win the world championship and turn this thing all around, you know, because like I said, I'm broke. And I didn't know if I could even go another year. The first 3 fish I get on, I lose them. I lose the fish. And I'm throwing them, I'm catching them on a little Bagley honeybait. Now, this is square bill way back then, in 1976. Everybody thinks square bill is just a modern day phenomenon. It's been around forever. But I realized, I threw it down the riprap, and I'd reel that square bill down, and I'd stop it, and I'd feel this little tick. And when I feel it, I'd set the hook. And the first 3 fish, I'd pull them about a foot and a half, and come off. And I'm going, I'm blowing it. And right here, I have a chance, I'm blowing it. I got it, what's happening? I said, why am I losing these fish? And finally, I don't know where it came from, but the 4th fish that hit me, I threw up there, I reeled it down, I stopped it, and he picked it instead of setting the hook, you know? I pushed the rod toward the fish, and I set the hook, and every one of them had that swallow. And then the light came on. These rods, I can feel it when that fish breathes on it.
Yeah, sure.
The minute he starts to inhale, with the bass usually inhales the bait about 20 miles an hour. I was starting to react the same time he was inhaling, and I wouldn't give him the bait a chance. And we were talking about split seconds in that old glass rod. You couldn't, they're not. That's the beauty of high tech. They're great on baits that 80% of your strikes come on a slack line, like a worm or a
worm or something like that. Yeah.
But when 80% of your strikes come on a tight line, the better fisherman you are, you're reacting too soon. And that glass, that's where glass pays off. Glass deadens that feel for just a split second or so, and that's all you need to get the fish to bait. And that's why we brought the old glass rods back.
Because essentially a bass, when he's chasing a crankbait, it's kind of pushing it as he's coming against it.
You have that going on, and you also, all those water dynamics, what's happening, and this is where really the high tech hurts the better fisherman even more than it does the novice, because the high tech fisherman, he's so tuned into the feel of his bait, and so all that water dynamics come into your bait, starts to change that feel. You're actually starting to probably react even before the fish is taking the bait, because something has interfered with that intimate feel you have with that. Most good fishermen know the way their blade feels.
Sure.
They know the vibration that catches the fish on the crankbait. And a lot of times, if you're really pumped and you got that high tech material, so super sensitive and great on finesse baits, all of a sudden now you're pulling it away from the fish before you ever has it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's something a lot of people don't think about. Technology is wonderful, has its application, but sometimes it's best to step back and figure out what works.
Well, and that's the bottom line. You got to convert theory into working reality. Because everything we see around us was somebody's theory. And sometimes that theory is correct. Sometimes it's partially correct, sometimes it's totally incorrect. And only that time on the water and experience eventually determines that.
And you have a variety of these sticks available. What kind of different applications are they for?
What we've tried to do is to, take most of the popular power bait techniques like square bills, deep cranking, lipless crankbaits, and really identify those techniques with a rod. So if a guy says, hey, I want to learn how to fish square bills, he can go in there and all of a sudden, this is what I recommend is the best square bill rod. And not only that, if they go inside the car, I look at this engineering stuff, it don't mean nothing, but what I put in here for me is how to achieve peak performance with this rod.
Sure.
I tell you the line that I recommend, I tell you even the lures, I tell you how to fight the fish.
Wow.
And in other words, if you want peak performance, the rod is just one element. The line's part of the element. The right hooks, I even recommend the right hooks when you're crankbait. So I'm trying to give them a complete system. If I want to learn how to, if I'm a Johnny-come-lately to fishing and I wanted to learn how to flip, I go through 30 years of experimentation when I can go get Denny Breyer's rod. And if I can talk to Denny, I can let him tell me these things. Sure. Now I've got the right equipment. Now I just got to learn it. So we're just trying to give the guys an application. Each one of the rods has this what we call peak performance information in it. But these really are rods that are designed for specific power bait techniques.
Yeah, and the thing is, if a guy's going out there, and I like to cover a lot of water when I fish, crankbait's the way to go. And then there are guys, if somebody wants to just fish with jigs all the time, we have the ability now to do these things for specific applications.
And we have the information that now has made available to you if you're willing to look for it. The perfect tool. In the beginning, like I just explained to you, I went through a lot of stuff to determine what that perfect tool was, and sometimes I went backwards and went the wrong direction. So nowadays you don't have to do all that pioneering you had to do when I started.
Yeah, because I went back and they were kind enough to send me a copy of his book from 1979, and I've been studying square bill fishing and things like that. I've been doing a lot more fishing with square bills in the last couple years, but I didn't have to do it. I just go to the masters and learn what they did and apply it to my own fishing. That's the beauty of all this.
Yeah, now you just got to put it in front of the fish. And now, at least I've got the right equipment. So if I locate the fish and I make a proper presentation, now my odds have been greatly improved to be able to catch that fish.
I was on the water with you at Table Rock a couple years ago. You said something that really stuck with me, and it ties into all this. You said the greatest mistake anglers make is not repeating their exact cast when they got a bite. Can you elaborate on that a little more?
Well, that mistake kind of dates back in time as well, is that we used to really didn't relate a largemouth bass potentially being a school fish. We looked at them really as individuals that you caught wandering around early in the morning and late in the afternoon. And you catch one here and you catch another one maybe 50 yards down the bank. But when tournament fishing, competitive fishing come along, and the lakes really did create and turn the behavior of a largemouth bass that was originally a slew fish off the rivers into a school fish. Because lakes provided a big schools of shad and bait fish, which allowed them now to group up and hunt as a pack. And so with that now being the case, it's really a huge mistake that when you're looking around, a lot of people say, well, I never catch a bunch of fish. I catch one here, one there. And that, like you said, I always go with, when you catch a fish, do you duplicate the cast that caught that first one? And a lot of people say, no, I cast down the bank 10 yards. I say, well, that's probably why you don't catch the group. Because the group might be in that spot as big as that little dinner table over there. So it's just a good habit to get into. Because even if there's not a school there, now bass I've learned actually even working little wolf packs, there's usually 2 or 3 there. So you need to at least give them a chance. Try it. So, but you have to be aware. Okay, I made that cast, and you know, and once I get this fish and get him off, whatever I'm going to do with him, now I got to stand up and mentally know how to make that cast again. Sometimes if you're in a boat, the boat drifts away a little bit. You know, that's, I wish I'd had them dang power posts for my whole career, because now when I make that cast, let's say I got to catch this fish landing, I poke those poles in the ground, call the fish, stand back up, and now I still got that same angle. Sometimes even by changing the angle, you can't make that exact cast. You may miss that fish or that school of fish.
We appreciate the information as always. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you, Justin.